想念，不要逼我流泪，我会翻脸。我不做大哥好多年，我只想好好爱一回。时光不能倒退，人生不能后悔，爱你在明天。
In a world filled with order followers become ungovernable. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and there's a lot of absolutely crazy news to get into today, as of course there is unrest, upheaval all over the world that's important to talk about. All, of course, as there's a lot of people pushing back against some very nefarious, nasty, disgusting human beings in our society that sadly the police are aiding and abetting in more absurd, absolutely crazy ways that we're going to be describing to you in this particular broadcast. And we're going to be getting into some local news as well that is absolutely just as mind-melting and bewildering. But before we do, if you like the shirt that I'm wearing, highlighting Dr. Fauci as the Grinch, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the video that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is reportedly from Changshu, China, from a man that stood his ground against a big corporation, building developers, and didn't decide to sell his land, refused to move, and now he has, let's just say, prime-time real estate, which is pretty surprising coming from China. Other really surprising, eye-opening news is that in New Orleans, a town being ravaged by criminality, violence, carjacking, the mayor decided to take a very bold stand and decided to show up in the courtroom to show support for the carjacker. Yes, you're hearing this correctly. The mayor of New Orleans decided to show up in court in order to lobby to push for a more favorable treatment and sentencing of a carjacker, highlighting the gross criminality that has been gripping the nation, that has been expanding and growing everywhere, like in Minneapolis, where carjackings have gone up 339%, and which of 90% go unsolved. Now, what's the reason for all this criminality and this huge uptick, especially in major Democratic city areas? Well, we talked about that many times, but it's not just something that is happening only to the United States. It's also happening in the majority of the Western world, where the police departments are becoming more political and are deciding to heavily prosecute and punish people on their political beliefs, rather than, of course, the crimes that they are committing. A perfect example of this is what's happening in the United Kingdom, where you are arrested for misgendering, have an anti-terrorism investigation on you for, quote, hateful comments, and police officers show up at your door if you caused someone anxiety. This, as for years, the police officers have claimed that they don't have enough resources to deal with the actual crime inside of the United Kingdom. This, as of course, they also prioritize their time showing up at pride festivals and parades, doing synchronized dance routines, dressing up in heels, and showing their support for a woke cultural cause. And a lot of the same videos that we're getting from the United States, we're also getting from the United Kingdom, like a bunch of youth robbing and ransacking a McDonald's, running around crazy in London, stealing from shops and stores, while the police officers literally do the Macarena. I'm not kidding you. This is actual video footage of police officers in the United Kingdom dancing along as local towns get ransacked by absolute lawlessness. And the lawlessness doesn't end there in their deprived, nasty, disgusting behavior by the central authorities that are abusing their power against the citizenry. This, as just moments ago, the Metropolitan Police Department in the United Kingdom, Scotland Yard, officially declared that their investigation into this man, Mr. Epstein, is over, and that, quote, they will take no further action over the, quote, this is their words, allegations made against him. Yes, they said the thousands of victims who were children at the time that were literally being trafficked, that were literally being sold to tech entrepreneurs, to Silicon Valley heads, to politicians, to royalty, as there is an overwhelming amount of evidence clearly highlighting, clearly showing some of the worst behavior that we cannot even describe here on this particular platform. The United Kingdom, the police officers there have decided, yeah, nothing to see here, don't worry about it, we're not doing anything, even though metaphorically there's witnesses lining up outside of their doors. And of course, this is not the first time the UK Police Department abused their power, didn't decide to hold powerful people accountable for the most egregious actions possible. They did this with, of course, Prince Andrew, which they again also announced a couple months ago they won't be further investigating. They did this with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Edward Heath. They did this with Jimmy Savile, and they did this with many people, a part of the royal family that, of course, they protected in their horrible, extreme behaviors against children. Imagine being a victim, being a child, being stolen, being trafficked, being hurt and abused in unspeakable ways by nasty people, horribly disgusting individuals with man-bazankas like Bill Gates, who did unspeakable things to you. You go to the police and say, hey, this thing hurt me here. There's this evidence here. There's photos here. There's video footage. And the police officers respond by doing the Macarena. Yes, that's essentially what is happening here. It is disgusting. It deserves to be called out. And this is not a police department. This is the protective agency of criminal, sinister elites. And these individuals should be absolutely ashamed of themselves because they are part of institutions and systems that are literally taking part in horrible, nasty, disgusting behavior, and there's a lot to investigate. There's a lot of photos. There's a lot of videos. There's a client list. The FBI in the United States has all of that, and yet they are also not acting on it here domestically inside of the United States. Meanwhile, a lot of these people are still hiding a lot of their money, as today we're also finding out that Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer is actually suing her family for unpaid legal fees, as Maxwell's lawyer is coming out and saying that her and her family are hiding multi-million dollars in fortune from, of course, the general public, from, of course, the authorities. And yeah, obviously, that's true. For your own lawyer to come out and accuse you of hiding millions of dollars, for your own lawyer not to be paid here, just shows you how dastardly and deceiving these individuals are. It's also important to note that there was millions of dollars moved from Epstein's secret bank account that no one could explain what actually happened there. Why did millions of dollars move after the alleged death of Mr. Epstein from his bank accounts? Well, that's a question that, of course, is worth asking, as many financial institutions had to pay heavy legal fees for violating the law and allowing Jeffrey Epstein to get away with violating many rules and regulations that many big banking institutions made special exemptions for. This, as of course, the money was used to extort and pay off and run an international trafficking and extortion operation of literally small children. So, again, everything's right there for you, as even the Los Angeles Times described the bombshell interview that Prince Andrew gave a few years ago being a, quote, prosecutor's dream, and yet still no action taken against these dastardly, disgusting individuals that are lecturing you about how better they are, how much more privileged they are, how much more rights they need more than you, and how you need to pay your fair share, eat less, travel less, and of course live a life that is worth depopulating. Again, absolutely crazy nonsense. And guess what? It gets a whole lot crazier. The Berkeley police also in the United States are being implicated recently. Lots of crazier news coming from R. Kelly. Again, lots of things surrounding this particular topic that I want to say that I can't say on this particular broadcast, I can't say on this particular platform, but I will be getting into it deep down the rabbit hole later on today on LukeUncensored.com, our very own platform where we get to say and do whatever we want. 50 cents a day. You get a video almost every single day. Today's video is going to be a very big one, a very important one, a very eye-opening one to the absolute depraved, crazy behavior we can't even get to. We're going to continue to answer your questions one-on-one through our forum, which is also a part of LukeUncensored.com. You want to ask me anything, I will answer it on video. We're going to be doing live AMA live streams very soon. You get exclusive merchandise at cost, a community that's building and growing together and trying to be the best versions of themselves, as well as information curated not only to blow your mind away, but also help put you in a position where you won't be victims of the larger predator class going after you. All of that, plus a lot more, all available on LukeUncensored.com. See you there right after this video. One more video coming your way right after this one. If you agreed with what I said, share this video. If you disagreed, let me know why down in the comment section below. And because you guys are participating, because I'm still here, with you guys because I'm still able to have some kind of voice in this larger discourse. This is why. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.